Okay, I got a request for content earlier today. So, Krispy Kreme, this video is for you and others like you who want me to show you exactly what I know, all the documentation that I have about case studies of vaccination. So, I'm going to um, I'm going to start with this. It's a little grainy. I know. There. I'm going to start with this. Okay. So, whoops. Almost lost you there. Okay. The case against vaccination. Verbatim report of an address by Walter Hadwin. JP, MD, LRCP, MRCS, LSA, etc. Brackets, gold medalist in medicine and surgery at Goddard's Assembly Rooms, Gloucester, on Saturday 25th, 1896, during the Gloucester smallpox epidemic. Forward to 10th edition. The speech here reproduced was delivered 28 years ago, before the quote-unquote conscience clause was known. The speaker had been 9 times prosecuted for refusing to submit his own children to vaccination. During the intervening years, the cause of anti-vaccination has made steady progress, and at the present date, 3/5 of the parents in this country have followed Dr. Hadwin's example. But the passage of time has no effect upon the arguments against vaccination. Objections to an already venerable superstition followed Dr. Hadwin's example. But the passage of time, objection to an already venerable superstition remains invulnerable in 1924, though they were expressed in 1896. No apology is needed, therefore, for the reproduction of the speech as it was uttered so long ago. The speaker looks back through the 28 years upon a period of strenuous and painful struggle, and forward to the ultimate doom of vaccination. Yeah, there we go. To the ultimate doom of vaccination, now imminent. The speaker, the last statistics are given on the last page of this pamphlet. March 1924. The case against vaccination, addressed by Dr. Hadwin J.P. at Goddard's Rooms, Gloucester, January 25th, 1896. Now, we're going to go through this here. This is the glossary. The top is the last part. The bottom is the first part. So we're going to start from the top and go to the beginning. Not purely a medical question. History of the movement, the superstitious period, Jenner's experiments, how Jenner changed his tactics. Jenner substitutes horse grease for cowpox. That sounds so appetizing, so healthy. Jenner harks back to cowpox. Vaccinations preferred to inoculation. We're going to learn the difference between the two, if you don't already know. Compulsion demanded. The glamour of a name. Cowpox and smallpox compared. The teaching of experience. History of smallpox in Germany. Okay. I constantly find that when the pro-vaccinists are driven into a corner as to the failures occurring in this country, they always adopt the plan of Jenner and invite us to look at the brilliant successes in other countries. As soon as ever they are asked to remember the names of vaccinated people who get smallpox, they are very well to be carried away to those countries. They say, "Oh, look at Ceylon. Come with me to the plains of India." Or they ask you to look into Central Africa and see what vaccination does there. Yes, it is all very well to be carried away to those countries where no registrar general is kept and no official statistics have ever been published. Cheers. They say, look at Prussia and the way, the history of smallpox vaccination in Germany. They say, look at Prussia and the way vaccination has stamped out smallpox there. Very well, we will look at Prussia, which I may say has kept better vaccination records than any other country. This is speaking at the time, of course. Than any other country in Europe, except perhaps Sweden. Sweden, yes. In 1834, which is 20 years before England adopted the Compulsory Vaccination Act, so severe was the act in Prussia that in addition to primary vaccination, every child had to be vaccinated over and over again. When he started upon his school life, he had to be revaccinated on going from college to college and revaccinated over and over again, when he entered the army, which meant every healthy male out of the whole of Prussia. And so severe was the act that if any man refused to be vaccinated, he was ordered to be held down and vaccinated by force. By force. 35 years after this Compulsory Vaccination Act came the terrible epidemic which swept all over Europe. It came to Prussia, and what was the result? And what was the result? In that year, smallpox carried off no less than 124,978 of her vaccinated and revaccinated citizens after 35 years of compulsory vaccination of the description which I have referred to. This roused Prussia, and she began to look about her. She saw the cause, and she was determined to remedy it. She brought good water into her cities, purified her river Spree, introduced a complete drainage system throughout the country. Loud cheers. Yes. This is how you beat disease, by being clean, not by being disgusting enough to inject yourself with vaccinations. It's a caveman disgusting habit, it's genocidal, and this is the proof. Complete drainage system throughout the country. Loud cheers. She got rid of her rookeries and ordered model barracks to be built for the soldiers. And away fled the smallpox. Like the Philistines before the children of Israel, sanitation did for Prussia what 35 years of compulsory vaccination was unable to accomplish. At the present time in Prussia, smallpox is almost extinct. Cheers! It is not that people are being vaccinated more. They are vaccinated less. Hear, hear. And this is all in the text, of course. They hate it in Germany, as we English people do. And now you can get out of vaccination there by the payment of a shilling fine. Even the very children in Germany know well enough how it is hated. And in proof of this, I may relate to you an amusing incident. A school inspector went to one of the schools the other day and asked the question of the class, why was Moses hidden by his mother in the bulrushes? Very soon a little fellow put up his hand and replied, please, sir, she did not want him to be vaccinated. Loud laughter, in brackets. Smallpox epidemics in England. We will now come nearer home and take the Metropolitan Asylums Board and their statistics. From 1870 to 1886, there were 53,579 cases of smallpox, and out of that number, there were 43,919 who had undergone the process spoken of by Sir John Simon as removing every taint of susceptibility to infection. Give me 1 second. Sugar nuts. Okay. Okay. Removing every taint of susceptibility to infection. But you may say, perhaps, perhaps, will it protect for a time? Well, I should like to know for how long. Here, here. Dr. Bond says up to 14 years. Some people say 10. In Birmingham, they were rejoicing the other day that they had nobody take smallpox. No vaccinated child under 3. So that it has got down rather low. Laughter. Jenner said that to talk about revaccination was to rob his discovery of half of its virtues. He was dead against it by the statement he made that one vaccination was protection for a lifetime. This is Jenner, the man who invented vaccines. On that, he got 30,000. There's a symbol over here. I don't know what that box means. 30,000. Where is it? Right there. It's just a box. Dr. Bond tells us that was altered afterwards, and that it was not the expression of Jenner's matured vision. No, Jenner altered it afterwards. He got 30,000 with that box. $30,000, I think that is. First, though, renewed laughter. He never yielded up the $30,000 when he found he had made a mistake. Of course not. These people are criminals. How long will it be protected? Dr. Bond asked about the Sheffield epidemic in his letter 2 or 3 days ago, and I have found, and I have no doubt, Mr. French Hensley, to whom he replies, will very soon put the matter straight. He tells us that the Sheffield statistics show a wonderful immunity of vaccinated children. Dr. Bond bases that upon the marvelous statistics of Dr. Barry. Dr. Bond has evidently never read the Royal Commission reports at all. Laughter and cheers. It looks as though an utter collapse. Hold on. It looks as though Dr. Bond has never seen the cross-examination of Dr. Barry. Dr. Bond has no idea of the fatal fallacy underlying the Sheffield epidemic report, which came to an utter collapse when Dr. Barry was cross-examined upon it. He has no idea of that. He's evidently something like the old lady Sydney Smith talked about. Pleased with talked about, who never read anything on the opposite side of the question in case she should be prejudiced. If it had not been for the Sheffield report, I am very pleased it was brought forward, although it was a perfectly hollow thing so far as facts go. We should not have had the Royal Commission. The vaccinators thought, when it fell into the government quarters, that they had such a tremendously strong case that the anti-vaccinators would have been wiped off the scene. But when it came before the Royal Commission, Dr. Collins, one of the commissioners, took Dr. Barry in hand and very soon spoilt the whole game. And it turned out that the whole of the report, from beginning to end, was nothing but a statistical trick. See, just like they do with COVID, Karachi, Karani. They do the same thing over and over again. They've been doing this since the 1800s. It's 2020. Stop being stupid, people. Wake up for this shit. Wake up. But a statistical trick based on evidence collected by census collectors towards the close of the epidemic. instead of at the beginning. Wow. At the close of the epidemic instead of the beginning. Does that ring any Karachi bells? Anywhere? Wow. Since the 1800s. Instead of at the beginning, when many of the unvaccinated had passed over to the vaccinated class. I will give you some of the statistics with regard to Sheffield as far as one can gather them, which I take out of this very report. There were 10 cases of smallpox under 1 year old, 87 cases under 5 years of age, vaccinated all of them, and 241 cases of vaccinated smallpox between the ages of 5 and 10. In spite of what is said about vaccination protecting up to 14 years of age, this splendid report that Dr. Bond speaks of with such admiration declares that Dr. Bond's theory is as false as anything can be. Well, I beg to differ. It can't be any falser than the Democratic Party. Wait. No. It can't be any falser than chunk yogurt. Oh my god. Actually, there's a lot of things that could be just as false. Democrats in general, fuck me. Wow. Is as false as anything can be, for it gives no less than 338 cases of vaccinated smallpox under 10 years of age. Well now, let us see what vaccination did for Sheffield. This Sheffield epidemic occurred in 1887, in the very worst quarter of the town, on 135 acres of the most horribly unsanitary part of the town, which was condemned years ago by the government inspector, and it has never been put right yet. That is where the smallpox has always broken out. The swamp. The swamp. Has always broken out. That is where smallpox has flourished. And when this tremendous epidemic took place, on they went, vaccinating and revaccinating, and still the smallpox epidemic spread. Doesn't this remind you of tainted Karachi tests that the Democrats in the mainstream were pushing so hard? Wow. Just going over these documents again is like in retrospect, everything. Keep your kids at home, homeschool them, and keep yourself armed with your neighbors. Build good relationships with your neighbors. Just, if you're going to be anything, be a patriot. And still the smallpox epidemic spread. There were no less than 7,000 cases of smallpox, and alas, 600 deaths. And still, the smallpox went on. The gutters, until at last God in his mercy opened the floodgate of heaven, and down came the rain, which washed the sewers and the drains, cleared away the refuse from the gutters, washed the dirt from the streets, and the filth from the slums, and away went the smallpox. Drain that swamp, drain that swamp. Pure water accomplished for Sheffield what 56,000 vaccinations had been unable to effect. Again, take Gayton, Gayton, a great authority with the pro-vaccinists, fascists, who in his book entitled The Value of Vaccination shows that of 10,403 cases of vaccinated smallpox, 20 cases were under 1 year old. $341 between 1 and 5, and 945 between 5 and 10, i.e., 1,306 cases of smallpox in vaccinated children in order to prove the efficacy of vaccination. Krispy Kreme, man. I told you. That was 2 pages. See all that? Pages and pages and pages. I'm going to need to start a whole new YouTube channel just for this binder. That depends on how much of it you want to see, man. You'll be watching videos for years. Okay. Now, why vaccinated children don't die? Let's say that as it appears on the paper. Why vaccinated children don't die? Okay. Let's see. Did I mix this up? I might have mixed this up. I don't know, guys. This is a lot to read, honestly. So what I may do is go over the footnotes, because this is a lot. Okay. So I seem to have mixed up my pages in any case. I haven't touched these documents for a long time. But I'm going to go, I'm not going to read the whole entire thing, because it's crazy. I will read you my footnotes, the parts in these little sections you see there. Okay, so let's go. Jenner's experiments. Okay. Let's see. All right. Live frogs were swallowed for the cure of worms. When cow dung and human excrement were mixed with milk and butter for diphtheria. When the brains of a man who had died a violent death were given in teaspoonful doses for the cure of smallpox. Even Jenner had invented not merely a cure for smallpox, but also one for hydrophobia, which quite takes the steam out of Pasteur's treatment. Louis Pasteur. All you had to do was to duck the man who had been bitten 3 times in a stream of running water. So banal. Only taking care that each time you ducked him, life became almost extinct. That's how you cure smallpox? By trying to kill someone? He said he never knew that to fail under any circumstances. He said he never knew that to fail under any circumstances. Wow. So, bringing them to death's door in order to cure smallpox always cures smallpox. Believe the fake news. He evidently had an idea that persons bitten by a mad dog became possessed of an evil spirit and should be treated as they used to treat the witches. So much for Jenner. So, let's get into a little bit about Jenner's experiments. In 1976, however, he performed his first experiment, as it is called. He took a boy, James Phelps, and inoculated him with some lymph which he took from a cowpox vesicle. A pimple. A short time afterwards, he inoculated the boy with smallpox, and for very solid reasons which could be explained, the smallpox did not take. Now, said Jenner, is the grand discovery. This will answer my purpose, and I shall be able to get another paper for the Royal Society to follow in the wake of the glorious cuckoo, which has been wittily termed the bird that laid the vaccination egg. That was in okay, I'm going to read a little bit outside the margins here. That was in 1796, and we are close upon the century since that wonderful experiment. Russia is preparing to celebrate it, and the Bristol medical men are sending round for subscriptions for the Bristol University. I have noticed that the doctors have omitted one important article, which appeared in the Bristol exhibition. A hair from the tail of the first cow that supplied the vaccine lymph. I am sorry they have left that out. I am sure nothing would so stir the hearts of the coming race of medical men as an evidence of belief in the principle contained in the old herb book, by which a person had to carry a hair of the tail of the dog that had bit him. I do not know whether the sensation from Russia is going to filter through to England, but unless you people in Gloucester are going to be swayed by the manifesto issued by the medical men, my advice to you is to keep your rejoicings for the 5th November. And then if you happen to be hard tip for a companion for Guy Fawkes, I would advise you to have an effigy of Edward Jenner to help feed the flames of your bonfire. Now, how Jenner changed his tactics. Okay, Jenner inoculated this boy James Phillips in 1796. Then, as soon as he had done that, he wrote it down and went round the neighborhood collecting desultory information with regard to cowpox and cowpox milkers. He got cases of those who had had cowpox years before and had never had smallpox, as if everybody was bound to have the smallpox. We're all bound to have Karachi. Well, those of you that took the Democrats' tests, well, bunch of you will. Oh yeah. If any of you were stupid enough to take them, or lied to enough, or not stupid but just ignorant enough. There's nothing wrong with ignorance, but stupidity is when you refuse to allow your ignorance to be cured. Is when you scream at the sky when Donald Trump wins the election, when you cause America to be up a creek with no paddle when we need PPE and other things. Or better yet, create a fake virus. Karachi, Karani, Rachi Rani, Petey Penny Beanie Wanny. Don't be Democrat-y. Okay. As if everybody was bound to have the smallpox. Then he took some worn-out paupers over 60 years of age who had had the cowpox years and years before and inoculated them with smallpox to see if they would get sick, if they would take. He found they did not take. Because as people get advanced in life, they are more or less proof against it. This, said Jenner, is the grand proof of the value of inoculation of cowpox as a preventative of smallpox. Okay, this is a half-hour video, and I'm only reading a third page here. I will make another video where I will read some more from this story of the man who invented vaccines. Well, I will end that on this note. Don't get your kids vaccinated, please. I say this because I love each and every American and each and every patriot around the world that does not hate America. And I want you to have strong children and lead strong, healthy lives. And you can't do that by vaccinations. You can't do that by taking Bill Gates's death sentence. You know, it's your choice. But this body, your body, is a gift. Okay? You can either be a bad servant with it, you can waste it, you can abuse it by taking Bill Gates' vaccinations, or you can send Bill Gates straight to hell because he wants to send you straight to hell. Patriots, Godspeed. Remember, we vote in November.